The conference hall in Oakland, California feels too warm for November 1964. 237 martial artists from across the West Coast have packed themselves into rows of metal folding chairs, shoulders touching, breathing the same recycled air thick with anticipation and the faint smell of floor wax. Outside, rain hammers against tall windows, streaking the glass, blurring the gray afternoon light that filters through. Inside, fluorescent tubes hum overhead, casting everything in that institutional brightness that makes colors seem both sharper and somehow less real. At the back of the room, near the emergency exit with its glowing red sign, sits a young man who doesn't look like he belongs here. Bruce Lee is 23 years old, 5 feet 7 inches tall, 135 pounds of coiled intensity dressed in a simple black turtleneck and slacks. His hair is cut short, neat. His posture is unnaturally still, hands resting on his knees, eyes fixed forward with the kind of focus that makes everything else in his field of vision irrelevant. Around him, men twice his age shift in their seats, whisper to each other, crane their necks to see the stage. Bruce doesn't move, doesn't whisper. His breathing is so controlled it's almost imperceptible. This is the International Karate Championships Seminar Series, and today's featured speaker is Master Chen Wei, a 62-year-old Tai Chi instructor whose reputation stretches from San Francisco to Beijing. Master Chen has spent 40 years perfecting the slow, flowing movements of Tai Chi, teaching that true martial power comes not from speed or strength, but from balance, from rootedness, from understanding the flow of Qi through the body like water through ancient riverbeds. He has never been defeated in push hands competition. He has trained 3 generations of students. And he has very specific opinions about these new, flashy martial artists who prioritize speed over substance, flash over foundation. Bruce knows Master Chen's reputation. Everyone here does. That's why the room falls completely silent when the old master finally takes the stage, moving with that characteristic Tai Chi slowness, each step deliberate, measured, as though he's walking through water. He wears traditional Chinese clothing, a navy blue silk changshan with cloth buttons running down the front, loose black pants, cotton shoes that whisper against the hardwood stage. His face is deeply lined, weathered like carved wood, and his white beard reaches halfway down his chest. When he stops at center stage, he doesn't look at the audience immediately. He closes his eyes, breathes, lets the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable. Then he opens his eyes and begins to speak, his voice surprisingly strong, carrying easily to the back of the room without amplification. Speed, he says, letting the word hang in the air like smoke. So many young fighters today believe speed is everything. They punch 1,000 times, kick 10,000 times, move so fast the eye cannot follow. He pauses, and something like disappointment crosses his features. But speed means nothing. Speed without root is just flailing. Speed without understanding is just panic wearing a disguise. Several heads nod in the audience. Older instructors, traditional stylists, men who learned their arts in temple courtyards and mountain monasteries. But Bruce's expression doesn't change. His jaw tightens slightly. That's all. Master Chen continues, warming to his theme. I have seen many fighters like this. Fast hands, fast kicks, but no substance, no foundation. You push them, and they fall like autumn leaves. You redirect their force, and they defeat themselves. He demonstrates, moving his hands in those slow, circular Tai Chi patterns, showing how force can be absorbed, redirected, neutralized. Tai Chi teaches us that softness overcomes hardness, stillness overcomes motion. The ancient masters understood this, the truly wise understand this. Speed is the province of the young and foolish who have not yet learned patience. The words land in the room like stones dropped in still water. Some audience members shift uncomfortably, others lean forward, engaged. But Master Chen isn't finished. Just last month, he says, his voice taking on a sharper edge, I saw a demonstration by one of these new instructors. Very fast, very impressive to people who don't understand martial arts, boards broken, bricks shattered. But I watched his feet. I watched his root. And I knew Any real martial artist could defeat him in seconds because speed means nothing when you have no foundation. Speed means nothing when you do not understand true power. He doesn't say Bruce Lee's name. He doesn't point to the back of the room, but everyone here knows who gave that demonstration last month. Everyone here knows about the young Chinese-American martial artist who's been making waves, challenging traditions, questioning ancient methods, demonstrating techniques that look nothing like the classical forms. The energy in the room shifts. Heads turn, just slightly. Eyes flicker toward the back row. Bruce still hasn't moved. But something has changed in the quality of his stillness. It's no longer the stillness of patient observation. It's the stillness of a compressed spring, of a storm gathering itself before it breaks. Master Chen seems satisfied with the reaction his words have generated. He begins demonstrating Tai Chi forms, moving through the postures with liquid grace despite his age. Ward off, roll back, press, push. Each movement flows into the next like water, like silk unrolling, demonstrating decades of refinement. This is real martial art, he says between forms. Not the circus tricks of street fighters who know only how to move fast and hope their opponent is slower. 45 minutes pass. The demonstration continues. Master Chen speaks about qi cultivation, about rooting, about the philosophical foundations of true martial arts. His voice is hypnotic, confident, absolute. He is a man who has never questioned his path, never doubted his truth. When he asks for a volunteer to demonstrate push hands, a young student eagerly approaches the stage. Master Chen positions him, explains the exercise, then, with one gentle push, sends the student stumbling backward 4 steps, unable to maintain his balance. The audience applauds. The old master smiles, just slightly. You see, he says, no speed, no force, just understanding, just root. This is what young fighters do not comprehend. And that's when Bruce Lee stands up. The metal folding chair scrapes against the floor, the sound cutting through the applause like a blade. Every head in the room turns. Master Chen's eyes find the young man at the back, standing now, shoulders square, expression perfectly calm but with something burning behind his dark eyes that makes the temperature in the room seem to shift. Bruce doesn't hurry, doesn't rush. He walks down the center aisle with measured steps, his footfall silent despite the hardwood floor, moving with a kind of controlled fluidity that draws every eye. As he approaches the stage, Master Chen's expression changes. The satisfied smile fades. His posture shifts imperceptibly into something more guarded. Master Chen, Bruce says, and his voice carries clearly despite not being loud, each word precisely articulated with just a trace of a Cantonese accent. You speak with great wisdom about traditional methods, about foundation, about understanding. He reaches the foot of the stage but doesn't climb up yet. But you also speak about things you do not understand, about fighters you have never faced, about demonstrations you watched but did not truly see. The old master's eyes narrow. Young man, I have been practicing martial arts since before you were born. I have studied with masters you have only heard stories about. I do not need to fight every street brawler to understand the limitations of speed without substance. Street brawler, Bruce repeats, tasting the words. That is what you see when you look at me? He steps onto the stage now, and the audience holds its collective breath. 237 martial artists watching, motionless. Outside, the rain continues its steady percussion against glass. Master Chen regards him for a long moment. I see a young man who has learned to move quickly. That is all I see. Then, Bruce says, and now there's something sharp in his voice, something that cuts through politeness like a sword through silk. You see very little. He stops 6 feet from the old master. You said speed means nothing. You said any real martial artist could defeat a fast fighter in seconds. He tilts his head slightly. Would you like to test your philosophy? The room erupts in whispers. Shocked murmurs ripple through the crowd like wind through grass. Master Chen's face flushes, but whether from anger or embarrassment or both is impossible to tell. Are you challenging me, boy? I'm challenging what you said, Bruce replies, his voice still calm, still controlled. You speak absolutes. You claim speed has no value. I propose we discover if you're right. He gestures toward the open space of the stage. Simple push hands, traditional test. If you can maintain your root against me, you prove your point. If you cannot, then perhaps your understanding has gaps. For 3 long seconds, Master Chen doesn't respond. He's trapped, and he knows it. If he refuses, he looks afraid, undermining everything he's just taught. If he accepts and loses, his entire philosophy crumbles in front of 200 witnesses. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. Very well, he finally says, the words emerging stiff, formal. But when you fall, remember, I tried to teach you before you forced this lesson. They face each other in the center of the stage. Master Chen settles into his stance, feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly bent, hands raised in the classical push hands position. His breathing deepens, and you can see him sinking his qi, feeling for that connection to the earth that Tai Chi practitioners spend decades cultivating. His expression is concentrated, serious. This is what he's trained for his entire life. Bruce mirrors the position, but his stance looks different. Lighter, higher. His weight distributed in a way that seems to violate everything Master Chen just taught about rooting and foundation. To the traditional martial artist in the audience, it looks wrong, unstable. Exactly what Master Chen warned about. Begin when ready, Master Chen says. Their hands make contact, palm to forearm, forearm to wrist, the circular testing pressure of push hands where each fighter tries to feel the other's balance, their root, their weak points. Master Chen moves first, applying pressure, testing. Bruce yields, redirects. The old master presses harder, trying to uproot him, and Bruce steps back smoothly, absorbing the force. Master Chen's confidence returns. The young man is moving backwards, yielding. This is going exactly as predicted. He increases the pressure, adding more force, feeling for that moment when Bruce's balance breaks, and Bruce moves, not backward, not yielding anymore, forward. It doesn't look fast at first. It looks almost casual, like an afterthought. But there's something about the movement that makes the eye stutter, makes the brain scramble to catch up to what it's seeing. His hands remain light, barely touching Master Chen's extended arms, but his body shifts forward in a way that's impossible to track. And suddenly Master Chen is moving backward, not because he's being pushed, but because his balance has simply vanished. And Bruce is where the old master was standing, and Master Chen is stumbling back, feet scrabbling for purchase, arms windmilling, and the old master sits down hard on the stage floor. The sound of his body hitting wood echoes through the absolute silence of the conference hall. 5 seconds. That's all it took. 5 seconds from first contact to the old master sitting on the floor, shock written across his weathered face, his mouth open, his carefully cultivated dignity shattered like dropped porcelain. Bruce stands above him, hand extended, not in threat but in offer. Speed means nothing, he says quietly, repeating Master Chen's own words back to him. You said that, but you're wrong. Speed, combined with understanding, combined with perfect timing and distance and angle, speed becomes everything. It's not speed or foundation. It's speed and foundation. Together. Master Chen stares at the offered hand. His face cycles through emotions, shock, anger, shame, confusion. 237 martial artists watch him struggle with the reality of what just happened. The invincible Tai Chi master defeated in seconds by the exact thing he claimed couldn't work. Bruce's hand remained steady, waiting. Finally, moving like a man decades older than his 62 years, Master Chen takes the hand and allows himself to be pulled to his feet. He won't meet Bruce's eyes. Can't. His entire worldview is breaking apart in real time, and everyone can see it happening in the trembling of his hands, the way he can't quite stand up straight, the way his breathing has become shallow and quick. You! Master Chen's voice comes out hoarse. He clears his throat, tries again. You moved. I didn't see. That's because you weren't looking, Bruce says. But there's no cruelty in his voice now, no triumph, just simple truth. You watched my hands. You waited for force you could redirect. But I didn't use force, I used timing, precision. And yes, speed. The speed you claim means nothing. He pauses, and when he speaks again, his voice is softer, almost gentle. Master Chen, your Tai Chi is beautiful. Your understanding of flow and redirection is profound. but you've made the mistake of believing your way is the only way, that anything different is automatically inferior. The old master finally meets his eyes. I I have studied for 40 years, and those 40 years have value, Bruce says, but they've also made you rigid. You've perfected one approach and then declared all others worthless. That's not wisdom, Master Chen. That's fear dressed up as tradition. Something breaks in the old master's expression. His shoulders sag. I I saw you demonstrate last month. I saw you break boards with your inch punch, and I thought you were just showing off. Just He trails off, the words too painful to complete. Just a fast street brawler with no understanding? Bruce finishes for him. Yes, I know what you thought. That's why I'm here. He steps back, giving the old master space. But I didn't come here to humiliate you. I came because you're teaching 200 people that speed and innovation and questioning tradition are worthless. And that's dangerous, Master Chen. That's how martial arts die. How they become museum pieces instead of living, growing things. The audience sits in stunned silence. Some of them look angry, faces red, fists clenched. How dare this young upstart disrespect a master? Others look thoughtful, troubled, like they're reevaluating everything they just heard. And still others, mostly the younger students, look excited, energized, like a door has just opened that they didn't know existed. Master Chen stands very still for a long moment. Then, moving with visible effort, he bows. Not the shallow, perfunctory bow of social courtesy. A deep bow, the kind that carries real meaning, real respect, real acknowledgement. When he straightens, his eyes are wet. You are right, he says, and his voice shakes but holds. I I have been teaching from fear, from pride. I saw the old ways fading and I... He stops, swallows hard. I convinced myself that anything new was wrong, that if I just held tight enough to tradition, I could keep everything from changing. He looks at Bruce with something like wonder. But you are not abandoning tradition. You are building on it. Taking the wisdom of the old masters and asking, what comes next? Bruce nods slowly. Tradition is a foundation, Master Chen, not a ceiling. The old master closes his eyes and a single tear tracks down his lined face. I have been a fool. No, Bruce says firmly. You've been a teacher who forgot to remain a student. That's different. That can be changed. He looks out at the audience, his gaze sweeping across 237 faces. All of you came here to learn today. Master Chen has valuable knowledge about flow, about yielding, about using an opponent's force against them. That wisdom doesn't become worthless just because it's not the only truth. The question isn't which style is best. The question is, are you brave enough to take the best from everywhere? To remain open? To keep evolving? The room stays silent, but it's a different silence now. Not the silence of shock, but of people thinking, processing, struggling with uncomfortable ideas. Master Chen clears his throat. Bruce Lee, he says formally, using the full name with deliberate respect. Would you show them? Show them what I could not see? Bruce regards him for a moment, then nods. For the next 20 minutes, he demonstrates. Not showing off, not grandstanding, teaching. He moves through techniques, breaking down the biomechanics, explaining how speed isn't just muscle fiber contraction, but neural pathway efficiency, how footwork creates angles that make defense impossible, how relaxation enables faster movement than tension ever could. He demonstrates the one-inch punch, the famous technique master, Chen dismissed as a circus trick, and explains the physics of force generation through proper structure and explosive release. And Master Chen watches, really watches this time, asking questions, taking notes, looking at this young man with the growing realization that what he's seeing isn't disrespect for tradition, it's tradition evolving right in front of his eyes. When Bruce finishes, the old master approaches him again. I said speed means nothing, he says quietly. I was wrong. Speed without understanding means nothing. But speed born from understanding, from thousands of hours of practice, from constantly questioning and refining? He smiles, and it's a sad smile, but a genuine one. That is something I had forgotten to respect. Bruce bows to him, a proper bow between martial artists. Master Chen returns it. When they straighten, something has shifted between them. Not friendship exactly, but mutual recognition. Two martial artists separated by age and style and philosophy, finding common ground in honest examination of their own limitations. The seminar ends differently than it began. Master Chen doesn't make grand pronouncements about the supremacy of Tai Chi. Instead, he tells the audience about the importance of remaining humble, of testing their beliefs against reality, of being willing to admit when they're wrong. His voice is quieter now, less certain, but somehow more powerful for that uncertainty. As people file out into the November rain, conversations buzz with energy. Arguments break out, heated but engaged. Some traditionalists are furious, calling Bruce disrespectful, calling Master Chen a traitor to his art. But others are electrified, suddenly seeing possibilities they'd never considered. The martial arts world is fracturing, and everyone knows it. Some will cling harder to the old ways. Others will rush toward innovation. And a few, the wisest few, will figure out how to honor both. Bruce stays behind after most people have left, helping fold chairs, stack them against the wall. Master Chen approaches him one final time. "What you did today," the old master says slowly, "will cost me students. My reputation is damaged." Bruce stops, turns. "I know, I'm sorry for that, but don't apologize." Master Chen interrupts. "I'm not asking you to. I'm telling you what will happen, not complaining about it." He pauses, looking out at the rain-streaked windows. "Some students will leave because they saw me fail. They wanted an invincible master, and I proved to be human." His smile is wry, bitter. But the students who stay, the ones who see today as the beginning of real learning instead of the end of comfortable certainty, those students will become something remarkable. Because now I can teach them not from false confidence, but from actual understanding. Bruce nods. "What will you do?" "I will do what I should have done years ago," Master Chen says. "I will learn. I will study these new approaches. Not to abandon Tai Chi, but to understand where it fits in a larger martial world." He looks directly at Bruce. Would you be willing to meet with me? To show me more?" "I promise I will watch with better eyes this time." For the first time since the confrontation, Bruce smiles. A real smile, warm and genuine. "Yes, Master Chen. I would be honored." They shake hands. Two martial artists. Two men who had been on a collision course toward mutual disdain, now walking toward mutual respect. The moment is quiet, unheroic, witnessed by nobody except a janitor mopping the floor in the corner. But it matters. It matters more than either of them fully understands in this moment. 3 months later, a small training hall in Chinatown, San Francisco. Barely 15 students gathered in a space that smells like sweat and old wood and determination. Master Chen stands at the front, moving through a Tai Chi form, but he's moving differently now. Still slow, still emphasizing flow, but with something new integrated. Sudden explosions of speed at the end of sequences. Integrating the principles Bruce showed him. Testing how traditional Tai Chi can evolve without losing its essential nature. His students watch with fierce attention. These are the ones who stayed, the ones who saw their teacher fall and chose to fall with him into this new understanding. They're learning something rare: how to honor tradition while remaining open to evolution. How to respect the old masters while questioning everything they taught. Master Chen finishes the form, breathing steady. "Now," he says, "who would like to demonstrate push hands? But remember, speed is not nothing. Speed is not everything. Speed is one tool among many. Understand it. Respect it. Use it when appropriate. This is balance. This is real wisdom." A young student steps forward, eager, excited. Master Chen settles into position, and this time when they begin, he doesn't assume he knows what will happen. He stays alert, open, ready to learn even in the midst of teaching. And in that moment, standing in that small training hall where nobody famous will ever see, Master Chen becomes a better teacher than he ever was before. Because he learned what all true masters eventually must. The moment you stop being a student is the moment you stop being a master. Years later, 1973. Bruce Lee is an international superstar now, the biggest martial arts film icon the world has ever seen. Enter the Dragon has just shattered box office records. His philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist, the style of no style, is spreading across the globe. Martial artists from every discipline are suddenly questioning their rigid traditions, suddenly asking, what if, and why not? And could we combine? But in a small apartment in Hong Kong, in the early hours of a July morning, Bruce lies awake with a headache that won't fade. He's been working too hard, pushing too much. His body is exhausted in ways he doesn't quite acknowledge, and something in his head feels wrong, feels pressured, like his skull is too small for what's happening inside it. He'll be dead in 18 days, a cerebral edema that doctors will debate for decades. He's 32 years old and he has approximately 432 hours remaining, though he doesn't know it yet. But on the nightstand beside his bed, there's a letter, arrived 3 days ago, from San Francisco. In careful handwriting, Master Chen Wei, now 69 years old, still teaching, still learning, has written to thank Bruce for what happened in Oakland 9 years earlier, for the humiliation that became a transformation, for forcing him to evolve. The letter describes how Chen's school has become known as a place where traditional and modern approaches merge, how some of his students have gone on to compete in these new full-contact tournaments, carrying Tai Chi principles into arenas that would have seemed impossible before. How he teaches his students that the greatest wisdom is knowing you don't have all the wisdom yet. The letter ends with a simple sentence. You taught me that martial arts is a question, not an answer. Thank you for giving me back my curiosity. Bruce read it when it arrived. He's read it twice since then. It makes him feel something complicated. Proud, yes, but also melancholy. Because he knows, even if he won't admit it, that he's running out of time. That there's so much more he wants to do, wants to teach, wants to explore. That 5 seconds in Oakland changed one man's life, but how many lives could he change if he had another 50 years? He doesn't have 50 years, he doesn't have 5 years, he has 18 days. But Master Chen's letter will survive him. It will be found by his widow Linda as she goes through his belongings in the awful weeks after his death. She will keep it, treasure it, eventually include it in a book about Bruce's philosophy. And people reading that book, millions of people, across decades, across generations, will see that letter and understand something fundamental. True strength isn't destroying your opponents. It's transforming them. True power isn't proving you're right. It's creating space for everyone to grow. True mastery isn't defending your position. It's remaining curious enough to question it. Bruce Lee demonstrated this in 5 seconds on a stage in Oakland. But the ripples of those 5 seconds are still spreading now, decades after his death. Every martial artist who questions their training, every student who asks why, instead of just accepting because tradition, every teacher who admits they don't have all the answers, every person who chooses to build someone up instead of just breaking them down. 5 seconds that changed one man whose teaching philosophy changed thousands, who will influence millions. Millions who will carry forward the simple revolutionary idea that wisdom isn't rigid, it's fluid. That tradition should be a foundation, not a cage. That the strongest response to being challenged isn't destruction, it's invitation. So here's the question for you, sitting there right now reading this story. Who is the Master Chen in your life? Who have you dismissed because they do things differently than you do? Who have you called a fool, a fraud, a circus performer because their approach doesn't match yours? Who have you refused to learn from because admitting they have something valuable would mean admitting your understanding is incomplete? And more important, who might you be Master Chen to? Who looks at you as the old guard, the rigid traditionalist, the person blocking progress because you're afraid of change? What beliefs are you clinging to not because they're true, but because letting them go would be too painful? When you win an argument, when you prove someone wrong, when you have someone at your mercy, what do you do with that moment? Do you destroy them? Humiliate them? Walk away satisfied that you've proven your superiority? Or do you do what Bruce did? Do you extend your hand? Do you teach? Do you create space for transformation instead of just savoring the victory? Because here's what those 5 seconds in Oakland really teach us. The person who challenges you isn't your enemy. They're your teacher if you're brave enough to learn. The moment you're proven wrong isn't failure. It's opportunity if you're humble enough to take it. And the victory that matters isn't making someone else fall. It's helping them stand back up as someone better than they were before. Speed means nothing, Master Chen said. He was wrong. But being wrong was the beginning of his real wisdom. What will be the beginning of yours? The beginning of